This is our COVID Roundup and CDC update for April 4th, 2025. Now, scrolling down, we don't see very many updates, but one thing I did notice is that when we look over to our COVID genetic surveillance map through the NWSS program here, NWSS stands for National Wastewater Surveillance System. So this is our COVID variant tracking map, all the sites that are actually doing the COVID surveillance, and we have seen a little bit of an uptick. There are colors on the map for once. So typically it's black, which means that no sequencing data available because they're not actually doing the testing at the sites, not because COVID isn't detected there, but for some reason we're getting a bunch of testing all of a sudden, which is great. But I have no idea why this change has happened. So that is good. But despite participating facilities actually providing data, there is still the issue that LP8.1 is not actually the current leading variant in the US. It's LP8.1.1, a subvariant of LP8.1, and this has still not been identified within the CDC's data, despite it being predominant for a couple months now. So, for example, if we go over to Raj's COVID variant tracker, we see that LP8.1.1 from their sequencing data is making up about 31% of all variants by proportion, while LP8.1 is making up 16%. If we look at the bubbles here, the areas with the highest percentage of LP8.1.1 include places like New York, Colorado, Texas, Illinois, and California. Globally, we see that for the US, for their reporting COVID variant data, that LP8.1.1 is now far exceeding LP8.1 in terms of variants by proportion in the US. And if we go over to Mike Honey's analysis that also looks at US data, and we scroll down to LP8.1.1, we see that the US is actually leading all countries except for Spain, which has now just joined us, in proportion of variants that have LP8.1.1 that are sequenced. And then if we look at the US data here for LP8.1 star, this includes LP8.1 and all the umbrella subvariants of it, so everything else that exists underneath it. So LP8.1.1 can include things like LP8.1.1, LP8.1.2, LP8.1.4, etc. in this list. But you can see that LP8.1.1 is far exceeding everything, and LP8.1 is actually starting to taper down. Where the major concern that comes into play is when is the US CDC going to update this to accurately reflect our COVID variant scenario, because it's been the case that this has been inaccurately represented for a while now, but we're still not updating it, which is unnerving. Now, looking over to the COVID wastewater data, by all participating facilities in the NWSS program, we're starting to see more oranges and reds. So these are the highest levels that have been recorded at the facility at any given time throughout the entirety of their operations. Blue would be within the lowest values ever recorded at the facility. And we're starting to see that over in the south still that there are high levels occurring. This is trickling over into the Midwest, and then also in the Northeast. We're seeing very high levels increasing once more. And there are a couple spots throughout the country where we can see these orange dots that are popping back up again, showing that COVID is likely starting to head right back up based off of our wastewater levels. Now, finally, let's move over to wastewater scan and the 148 reporting wastewater facilities to them in the US. And as we see, we're starting to still head up. There's an early signal. And if we zoom in, we see that the highest levels currently recorded in the US are in Roswell, Georgia. We have it in Oakhurst, New Jersey, in St. Cloud, Minnesota, Union Beach, New Jersey, North Jeffersonville, Indiana. So once again, this might have been just a very short lull period where, again, that relative low that is being reported is our highest relative low to date.